Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in, back with another video a day until this channel hits 100K. This is video number 32. Gonna keep it going. I think I'm about 370 behind Roman Atwood.
Welcome to 380 daily uploads.
I'm catching up day by day. But I'm actually, honestly, I wanted to make this video today because I saw on the news this morning when I was drinking my coffee that Ford just announced another round of recalls.
270,000 Ford Expedition and Lincoln Navigator SUVs. The front brake line may be in contact with an engine air cleaner, which could cause those brakes to fail.
Which is just crazy. And I just made a video about this recently, talking about how these recalls are just getting out of hand. I mean, we had Ford.
More than 90,000 trucks and SUVs are being recalled. The vehicles all have a 2.7 liter or 3 liter nano EcoBoost engine, which could break and result in engine failure.
GM has been having issues for years now with their active fuel management, where those 6.2s were grenading themselves. And now a whole nother thing is coming out where there's crankshaft issues where they're also grenading themselves.
General Motors is recalling almost 600,000 trucks and SUVs. They say it's because their V8 engines can fail without warning and could cause a potential for crashing.
Every manufacturer seems to have these insane problems.
Some Toyota owners will be getting a brand new engine. This comes after Toyota recalled over 100,000 Tundra pickups. The company says debris from manufacturing could have been left inside the engine. That may cause it to not run as good.
Being that I've had experience with the lemon law and unfortunately drawing the short stick twice with brand new vehicles and having gone through that, I figure it's a good time to talk about the lemon law and how people should be treating these situations if they're running up against buying a vehicle that is just a giant piece of trash, which just seems to be more and more common these days. There's a bunch of pissed off people everywhere, and I think it's time to talk about what you do if that happens to be you and how you protect yourself from being one of these people who has one of these terrible experiences. Now, this may not apply to you. I can tell you I've worked in enough professional environments where if you start talking to your coworkers, Becky or Jerry have something going on with their vehicles, and I think it's good for people as a whole to start talking and sharing with each other what to do in these situations, because all too often you'll hear people say, you should go get an attorney. And that's not the advice that I would give, at least not early on. You have things that you can be doing and things you absolutely should be doing, because you will also experience going into a dealership where you say, I have a problem. They say like, oh, I've never heard of that before. Yet there's forums with like tens of thousands of people complaining about this issue. There's technical service bulletins out there about how to address it. But honestly, a lot of these service people are just like in a position of like no power. They know there's not a solution to it. They know that they've sent people down the road saying like, yep, it's all fixed, knowing like they're coming back. Hopefully they don't come back. It's a lot of kicking the can down the road. These service people I don't think are like vindictive, but I do think that they're regular people trying to do a regular job, dealing with the fallout from the terrible manufacturing side of things, and doing their best with the sandwich that they're dealt. And I think the customers end up paying for it on the service side of things. So what is the lemon law and how does it work? Every state has different rules and regulations on lemon law, but it's relatively similar across the board, but I would check with the state that you're in. Also, you don't need an attorney to kind of start tracking this stuff and going through that process yourself. Now, the triggers are, it has to be a substantial defect. It's got to be like safety, driveline, major functions of the vehicle. Typically, it's going to require needing to go into the dealer either 3 to 4 times for the same issue, or that same vehicle having been in the shop for a cumulative 30 days total for pretty much anything. So if that vehicle is so unreliable that it's had to be in the dealer for 30 days consecutively for something or another, you're typically going to qualify for a lemon law claim as well. And this is going to apply to vehicles that are about like 1 to 2 years old, anywhere from like 12 to up to 24,000 miles. As the vehicle starts getting up there in miles, obviously it's less lemon and more wear and tear. So it's really focused more on new cars. But there is also a Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, where even if you buy a used vehicle, there's a lot of rules and regulations about if they can sell it as is, but if they don't sell it as is and there's some sort of warranty or implied warranty, there's a whole slew of rules that come with that. The Magnuson-Moss Act is also what protects your air conditioning doesn't work, and they go, well, it's because you put bigger tires on there. It's like, well, no, that doesn't cause this. And that's really what that's meant to, is that they would have to prove that somehow that caused that kind of problem. So those are kind of the high level things that you want to kind of look out for and start paying attention to. So my advice is that when you buy a new vehicle, it's good just to keep record of all of these things. And it can just be a spreadsheet. I like this Remarkable. It's a great digital notepad that I pretty much carry around all the time now. And just jot down notes for things like that. Anytime you're dealing with something where there could potentially be like a legal component to it, it's good just to jot down notes and keep good records. And you don't have to get crazy with it, but you gotta pretty much, like, if you call the dealer, who'd you talk to, what'd you talk about, what was the date, the time, and like, did you take it in for service, what happened then? Now, a lot of people are going to say, like, dude, just keep track of your receipts from when you go into the dealership. They give you a record of being there. Yes, but you have to be careful because a lot of times those service tickets are written up in such a gibberish. It is what it is. Where you could go in because, I don't know, I'm complaining that my transmission is slipping, and they look at it today, they give you a record that you were there because the transmission was slipping. Well, next time you go in and say, like, it's clunking into gear, and they log it saying, issue with driveline, please take a look, whatever, and those two things don't like clearly correlate, you might have an issue in a legal sense later saying, like, well, no, they were the same two problems. So number one, don't hesitate to turn around and say, like, well, that's not why I'm here. Like, did you guys even look at the problem? Be your own best advocate. Don't let them pull a fast one on you with that stuff. But also just take good notes about the things that you've done. And you have a lot of opportunity because as somebody who's gone through these processes before, you find yourself sitting in an awful lot of service waiting rooms. And that's a great time to sit there and just kind of jot down some notes. So that's the big thing. Keep good records. The next thing is don't wait. This is something I did the first go around. Was I had faith that the manufacturer would eventually find something wrong and then issue a recall. It'll be taken care of. This mentality that, like, they'll figure it out is naive, and I fell for it, and it's something I will never do again. So these corporations are not really motivated to proactively go about fixing even common problems if to them it's going to be too cost prohibitive. They don't quite know what the problem is, and they haven't really put enough energy into figuring it out, and the federal government hasn't mandated it. These companies are so hyper-focused on selling new vehicles that sometimes I think on the back end you can, as a customer, get forgotten. And I'm telling you, go to any forum of any auto manufacturer out there and just look up the word problem, and you will find just thousands, if not tens or hundreds of thousands of people complaining about that brand, a specific vehicle, and the issues that they're having that the manufacturer is choosing to ignore. It's rampant in the industry. So just make sure that you are really on top of taking the action as quick as you possibly can, because that's what's going to get you the best outcome as the consumer. If you wait, the potential buyback of your vehicle through the lemon law can be less. If you put more miles on it, they're going to charge you for the use of mileage. Everything gets worse for you the longer that you wait. As soon as you hit those thresholds, that's where it really triggers where the action should take place. Now, I highly recommend, and this is where some people will say you should get an attorney, and there's arbitration. These manufacturers are, for the most part, all a part of the Better Business Bureau. There's this auto line where they go into a mediation. You'll go through the lemon law process, and the outcomes typically result in either getting your vehicle bought back by the manufacturer or getting some sort of settlement in return for basically having a vehicle that isn't what it was you had bought. The quality wasn't up to what it was supposed to be, and they kind of compensate you for whatever you guys determine that is. So why this matters, why this is all important, is because manufacturers benefit from the people who stay quiet. Manufacturers benefit from the people who say, well, I took it to the dealer and I'm just really annoyed that I didn't get a loaner car, but it is what it is. None of that affects change. The needle doesn't move. As a matter of fact, you are basically enabling the needle to stay exactly where it's at. So if you're in any of these hundreds of thousands of vehicles that have been recalled across all of these different manufacturers, at this point in the recent years, it might even be over 1 million. It's insane. Well, the way that you change that poor behavior, we're never going to change manufacturing defects, but we can change QC process where they put more time and money into it because it's costing them money on the back end. But none of these vehicles have gotten cheaper in the last 10 to 20 years. They've gotten stupid expensive. And the prices are absolutely not justifying the recalls that come out after the fact. It's like, if I have no problem with companies making money hand over fist. If you've got a good enough product to sell, make your money, I have no problem with it. I'm not anti-capitalist, not even in the slightest bit, but I am anti-selling super expensive trash and then trying to do your best to minimize the damage from selling that super expensive trash. And that's where I think we as consumers need to do a much better job of sharing these stories with each other, being our own best advocate, making sure that we don't allow corporate America, greed, all of those things, shrinkflation. There's so many cancerous changes to corporate America for the purpose of driving financial gain that does nothing to help the consumer. And I could argue that this situation with all of these recalls that are plaguing all of these manufacturers, that it's actually getting worse before it gets any better. And we are the only people, we vote with our wallets, and they also make change based on their wallets. So that's pretty much the extent of the video. So with that said, I had to make a video about this because it's like, man, there are, again, hundreds, if not millions of people out there in the country today who are being served with potential recall notices that say, your vehicle is a safety concern. Honestly, if I got a recall right now saying that my GMC Sierra, the diesel, was unsafe to drive and that I should park it, I would start logging those days today. In the moment that I had to park that vehicle for 30 days because they couldn't fix the problem that they identified, I would lemon law that thing and get rid of it, because there is no world where that should be okay for anybody. And as long as we let it be okay, then we continue to allow those trends to take place. So with that said, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I will see you guys next time.